You be asterisk 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 asterisk. You dared to take my boyfriend away. You are as asterisk asterisk asterisk. I will kill you. Elizabeth screamed as she ran towards Yen Su. Who was Yen Su? She was a black belt. She used men like punching bags. Her opponents were always men. Could she not handle such a lousy hysterical woman? Of course she could. When Elizabeth almost flew near her, Yen Su gave her a light kick with her shoe. Elizabeth rolled down the stairs as her scream echoed in the corridor. Her friends saw the scene in horror and left running with fear. Yen Su sighed as she felt unsatisfied. She wanted to be harder on them. But thinking that it would make Mu Lan's reputation bad, Yen Su held her desire back. Later, she called Richard, the rich boyfriend. Hello Yen Su. The guy answered. She said sweetly, thank you dear for helping. Richard smiled and replied, it is nothing. I wanted to break up with her from a long time. You got a bad taste. Yen Su complained. But, not this time. Are we going together to Anne's birthday party? Richard asked eagerly. Lu Feng's face immediately appeared in Yen Su's mind. Yen Su smiled and said, sure. Lu Feng, just wait. I will make sure that you suffer in hell. Yen Su gritted her teeth. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 196, Are you done? Chapter 196, Are you done? While Yen Su was doing all the protecting, Mu Lan was totally unaware of what just happened outside her room. She was immersed in her own world playing Car Race 4-99 in a happy mode. She was wearing a headphone, and because of the sound, she didn't even realize that her mobile was chiming. 15 minutes later, she felt hungry. She got up and heated up the smoked salmon fried rice and filled her stomach. She then rubbed her stomach, totally satisfied. Later, she washed her bowl and sat on the chair to play another round of game. She casually checked her phone, and that's when she noticed that she had received several messages from Mu Liang. What are you doing? Do you like the game? How are you classes going on? I miss you. Do you miss me? I want to see you. Mu Lan felt that her cheeks were burning after reading the messages. It was already 6 days since she left Mu Mansion. Mu Liang's feelings were justified. Mu Lan sent him a message. I am doing great. The classes are going smoothly. I love this game. Good night. Mu Lan didn't dare to type, I miss you too. Last time she sent such a text, she ended up having a romantic date with him. More importantly, he brought an eye-catching car. Then he kissed her in public. Furthermore, he gave her a hickey which was seen by her teachers. Shameful. So shameful. Mu Lan had learnt her lesson and she didn't dare to repeat the same. Mu Lan began to play the game. She lightly screamed with happiness as she reached level 77. Yet again she didn't notice that her cell phone was ringing. When she was playing, someone lightly tapped her shoulder. Mu Lan was at an exciting part of the game. She shook that hand off subconsciously. Her concentration was fully on the game. 10 minutes later, she finished the level. She stretched her hands behind her. A beautiful satisfactory smile was hanging on her lips. Are you done? A deep voice came from her behind. Startled, Mu Lan jumped off her seat all frightened. She turned around to see the person as she opened her mouth to scream. A firm hand covered Mu Lan's mouth so that she could not make a sound and took her in his embrace. Mu Lan blinked a couple of times. Sensing the familiar smell, her body started to relax. When the person saw that she wasn't straggling anymore, he removed his hand from her mouth. Mu Lan found her voice back. How did you come? The door is locked and there are students outside. The person with a deep voice asked back. How do you think? Mu Lan turned her head towards the window and saw that it was wide open. It was previously half closed. Still, that person had to cross the gate and the campus. How come no one saw you? She asked. I have my ways. The deep voice said. Well, that's true. She thought. Why did you take such a risk? She was really frightened. Mu Liang leaned close to her right ear and kissed it before asking, Why didn't you reply to my text? Mu Lan trembled as she felt his kiss on her sensitive spot. She replied, I did. You didn't reply to the text where I asked if you missed me or not. Mu Liang said. What could she say? Mu Liang continued, and when I called you, you didn't answer. I wanted to hear your voice. Mu Liang hugged her tighter. Mu Lan hurriedly said, I am so sorry. I didn't notice. However, her voice was cut off as Mu Liang kissed her fiercely. Mu Lan's whole body trembled by the sudden kiss. She wanted to move away, but Mu Liang held her body tighter. His left hand was on her waist while his right hand was on her head. Mu Liang bit her lower lip, making her gasp in surprise. He took the chance and entered his tongue. His tongue twirled with hers passionately. It left Mu Lan breathless. Her body started to get warm as Mu Liang's hands moved around her curves. With her moist eyes, Mu Lan glanced at the man. His face was slightly red and his eyes were closed. Staring at his long eyelashes, she felt that her soul was leaving her body. When Mu Lan was out of breath, she struggled a little to move her face away. Seeing her discomfort, Mu Liang finally left her lips. However, before Mu Lan could take a full deep breath, she gasped as Mu Liang's lips fell on her delicate neck. Ah! His unexpected action made Mu Lan moan lightly. Hearing her soft moan, Mu Liang's fire ignited. Mu Liang again kissed her lips. He sucked her hard, making her moan in return. He slowly pushed her close to her bed, and while kissing, he took her in his arms and laid down on the bed. Mu Liang's left hand groped her buttock. Mu Lan tried hard not to moan, but her lips were opened by his lips. So she couldn't help it. Mu Liang's right hand roamed around her upper body. Finally, it found the button of her shirt. Skillfully, Mu Liang's right hand unbuttoned her shirt. When he removed her shirt, Mu Liang pushed Mu Lan beneath him and started kissing her ears. He bit and nibbled them. Mu Lan twitched her body. Soon Mu Liang's lips moved south and left love bites all over her skin. He groped her left breast with his right hand, causing her moan louder this time. As his lips was on her cleavage, he tore the bra, exposing her breasts to feel the cold air. Mu Liang was always like this. He would come to her with a good intention. However, seeing her stunningly adorable face, his love, greed, and desire for her would instantly ignite. Before he could try to control his lust for her, his body would act and make him yearn for her. Right now, both of their faces were red. Their bodies were hot and they were pressed against each other. Their breathing were irregular and their hearts were beating crazily at the same speed. Mu Liang looked at the alluring woman under him. His heart boiled at the scene. He leaned down to catch one of her nipples with his lips. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 197, His heart raced. Chapter 197, His heart raced. Mu Liang looked at the alluring woman under him. His heart raced at the scene. He leaned down to catch one of her nipples with his lips. Li Liang, stop, Mu Lan couldn't help but arched her back. Something hot spread from her chest as her heart was beating rapidly. Mu Liang didn't stop, and his tongue twirled intensely. As he nibbled, he kneaded her other breast. Subconsciously, Mu Lan circled her arms around Mu Liang's neck and held him near. Mu Liang's other hand roamed on her thigh and he smiled. He brought his mouth close to her left ear and said, "You didn't wear any pajama today." Then he showered her with kisses. Mu Liang's hands skillfully caressed her legs and his lips worked on her bosom. Mu Lan bit her lower lip to control her voice. Mu Liang saw her biting down her lips. He coaxed her as he gave her light kisses on her lips and sweetly said, "Don't do it. Let me hear you." His sweet voice sounded sexy in Mu Lan's ears. As their bodies moved together, steam emitted from their mouths. Their bodies were sweating. When Mu Liang's right hand touched her center, Mu Lan couldn't take it anymore and moved her head on the right side and buried her face in the pillow. Warmth rushed into her body. Her legs were going numb. Mu Liang kissed her left ear and then bit it. Feeling the sensation, Mu Lan couldn't cover her face anymore and turned around to meet his lips. Mu Liang swiftly unbuttoned his shirt and threw it aside. It fell on the corner of the bed. His built chest met her delicate body. Mu Liang looked down at the woman beneath him. His eyes were dark and full of desire. In the light, he could clearly see that the woman was panting heavily with her open mouth as her body was slightly moving. She was only wearing her pink underwear. Her pinkish skin was covered with red marks and sweat. Her eyes were moist and there were water lines beside her two eyes as tears rolled down. Her lips were swollen and face was red. Mu Lan's whole appearance gave Mu Liang a strange feeling. He soon felt something was getting hard. He slowly spread her legs and moved his head to her right feet and he began to suck the small fingers. He licked them and moved his lips towards the knee and from the knee to her thigh. When he finished giving red marks on her right leg, he moved his lips to her left leg. Mu Lan's whole body shook as she felt his movements. When Mu Liang's lips went to her left thigh, she tried to close her legs. However, Mu Liang's body was between her legs. She couldn't do it. Moreover, her legs wrapped around Mu Liang's slender waist which was now sweaty. Mu Lan was softly sighing and moaning. Her eyes were foggy and the head was spinning. She could see Mu Liang's half-naked body properly. Mu Liang's fingers worked through her underwear and found it slightly wet. His eyes burnt as he moved his mouth. Just then, someone knocked on the door. Just inches away, Mu Liang's face froze. A faint sound said, "Lan dear, are you there? Open the door." Mu Liang gritted his teeth. This Yen Su. But he couldn't finish his thought. Yen Su said from outside, "If you don't open it, I'm going to unlock the door." Mu Liang's eyes narrowed. So, she gave her friend a spare key. Good thinking, but now. Mu Liang looked at his precious woman who had no clue what was going around her. He looked around and found their scattered shirts and her bra. He hid them under the corner of the bed. Mu Liang had no time to hide anywhere. He covered Mu Lan's naked body with the quilt and dived under the bed. Just next second, Yen Su opened the door and entered into the room. Looking at the room, she was astounded. The light was on. The chair was facing the east, totally opposite from where the table was. And the weirdest part was, Mu Lan was sleeping on the bed covering herself from top to bottom. Yen Su said aloud, "Ha, that's strange. Lan dear never sleeps with lights on. Is she sick?" She walked towards the bed. She stood beside the bed and lightly moved the quilt. She saw that Mu Lan's eyes were closed. She was sleeping soundly. However, her face was unusually red. Yen Su checked Mu Lan's temperature and found it a little hot. Yen Su frowned. She took out the first aid box from Mu Lan's table drawer and found out that one fever tablet was missing. Thinking that Mu Lan took medicine, she sighed in relief. She was about to move to the kitchen and that's when her cell phone rang. Trying not to disturb Mu Lan's beauty sleep, Yen Su hurriedly answered the call. "Hello? Miss Shin, thank you for the action you took. Please let young miss take some rest." Hugo's voice quivered in nervousness as he spoke. How do you know that I'm in her room? Yan Su asked. I am monitoring the corridor, Miss Shin, Hugo answered. The dorm corridor's one side was open because it was also a balcony at the same time. Oh, all right. But how do you know that Lan dear is resting? Yan Su inquired. Hugo gulped his saliva as he spoke. I didn't. She was busy recently and worked hard. Since she just recovered, boss instructed to take care of her. Fine, I'm leaving. Yan Su said and left the room after turning off the light. Hugo watched Yan Su leaving Mu Lan's room and he huffed in relief. He was panicked because he thought that his master would be discovered. While Hugo was monitoring the corridor, suddenly he saw some movement in the garden. Feeling suspicious, he observed the area and he saw his boss was climbing the pipe. Hugo's soul almost left his body. And then he saw both his master and mistress hugging and kissing. He blushed. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 198, Choosing a Partner. Chapter 198, Choosing a Partner. While Hugo was monitoring the corridor, suddenly he saw some movement in the garden. Feeling suspicious, he observed the area and he saw his boss was climbing the pipe. Hugo's soul almost left his body. And then he saw both his master and mistress hugging and kissing. He blushed. Hugo immediately took his eyes off of the binocular. As he sat on the floor, he felt his heart was beating fast. He rubbed his chest to calm himself down. A few minutes later, Hugo again got on his work. He put his binocular in front of his eyes and began to monitor the corridor. He saw that one of the girls from Anne's gang tried to jump on Yan Su and in response, she just simply gave her a kick. Anne's friend flew away and he couldn't see her anymore. Later, Hugo saw that Yan Su was knocking on the door of Mu Lan's room. His soul nearly left his body. In an instant, he again looked at the window of Mu Lan's room. Hugo found out that his boss was hiding the shirts and covering Mu Lan with a quilt and he dived under the bed. Hugo's heart started to beat loudly as he saw Yan Su enter the room and she uncovered Mu Lan's face. As she moved towards the kitchen, Hugo couldn't help but to call Yan Su. He could not let her see the clothes. Finally, Yan Su's interrogation stopped and she left the room. Hugo sat on the floor to catch his breath. Hugo had experienced many dangerous missions. However, this one would take him to his grave. He was sure of that. He wished badly to change the room. He didn't want to stay at the same floor as young mistress any longer. Hugo checked his body and noticed that he was sweaty all over due to his nervousness. He went to the bathroom to take a shower. Meanwhile, Mu Liang was hiding under the bed while Yan Su was in the room. He couldn't move and it felt suffocating. He couldn't remove Mu Lan's vanilla scent from his mind. He was losing his patience. He only hoped that Mu Lan would act according to his plan. The more Yan Su was becoming nosy, the more Mu Liang was becoming irritated. He really wanted to come out and to give her a scare. However, thinking of Mu Lan's reputation, he held his anger. After Yan Su left, Mu Liang heard a click sound. Immediately, Mu Liang came out and locked the door from inside. Then he gave Hugo a call. Boss. For some reason, Hugo's voice wavered. Did you dare to monitor what is happening inside? Mu Liang asked in a cold tone. Suddenly Hugo's throat felt dry. He gulped down his saliva and replied in a small tone, I wouldn't dare. Good. Mu Liang hung up. Then he closed the curtains so that no one could see them. Afterward, Mu Liang went to the bed and saw that Mu Lan had fallen asleep. He was stunned. How could she sleep in a situation like this? He thought in amazement. Mu Liang saw slight dark circles under her eyes inside. He finally understood how Mu Lan reached game level 70. Mu Liang knew that he couldn't continue what he was doing. Therefore, he took off his clothes and headed towards the bathroom. After having a cold shower, he took a wet towel and cleaned Mu Lan's sweaty body. Later, he laid down beside her, kissed softly on her forehead and hugged her before drifting to a romantic dream. In the morning, Mu Lan woke up and blinked a few times before fully opening her eyes. The first thing she saw was a muscled chest which could make a woman's heart tremble. Mu Lan's sleepiness was long gone. Her eyes were wide in shock, and as she looked at the toned body's owner, she saw a familiar face. Her face turned deep red as she recalled what happened last night. She shook her head, wishing to forget the sensual night. Later, she tried to move away from Mu Liang, but her waist was hugged tightly. Just then she realized that she was naked. Her face became hot. Mu Liang opened his eyes and his ocean blue eyes looked at Mu Lan's black eyes deeply. Mu Lan couldn't take her eyes off of him and thought that she was drowning in the deep sea. Mu Liang gave her a teasing smile as his eyes filled with mischievousness. He asked in a hoarse voice, "Trying to run away, my wife?" Hearing the phrase "my wife," Mu Lan's heart raced. She covered her face with the quilt in shame, but soon she was held under Mu Liang. What are you doing?" Mu Lan asked him nervously. "Continuing after last night." Mu Liang replied as he looked at her pink lips. Mu Lan's word was cut off by Mu Liang's deep kiss. When Mu Liang stopped, Mu Lan was out of breath. She panted heavily as her head was spinning. Mu Liang looked at her with a tender gaze and stroked her head lovingly. When Mu Lan calmed down, he asked, "Are you going to any birthday party?" Mu Lan looked at him with her fuzzy eyes and replied, "I'm invited to attend our class representative's birthday party." Mu Liang said, "In birthday parties like these, people take partners." Mu Lan nodded and said, "Yes, it is written in the invitation card as well." Mu Liang looked at the beautiful girl in his embrace. He asked, "Who do you want to take as your partner?" Mu Lan didn't want to answer this question. So, she stayed silent. However, after 10 seconds of quietness, she couldn't take his burning gaze. She timidly replied, "I was asked by some of my classmates." "You mean, male classmates?" Mu Liang cut off. Mu Lan gulped as her body became stiff. Mu Liang sighed and hugged her. Did she think that I'll get mad at her? He thought. He gently kissed her left cheek and said, "Just say no to them. I'll accompany you." Mu Lan looked at him with her eyes full of surprise. She asked, "Will you?" Mu Liang smiled and nodded, "Yes, I will." He hugged her and looked at the open window. Mu Liang recalled what Mu Feng told him yesterday. "Big brother, just attend the birthday party. Some girls are trying to bully my sister Lan Lan. I arranged a great show for them." Mu Feng grinned. Mu Liang's eyes narrowed. "Let's see who dares to hurt my wife." If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 199, Interview 2. Chapter 199, Interview 2. This is the second interview of the author of Handsome CEO's Darling Wife. Yen Su, hello beautiful and handsome readers and the characters of the novel, welcome to our official interview of the author of Handsome CEO's Darling Wife. As you all know, I'm Yen Su of the same novel, and in the novel I'm one of the besties of Mu Lan aka Hua Lan. Today, our happy-go-lucky author who turned to the shameless author because of Mu Liang and Mu Feng's nasty pressure will share some of her thoughts and questions of you readers regarding the novel. Author dear, please say hi to your darling readers. Flo07, hello my most beloved readers. Hope you all are doing great, laughing face. Yen Su, author dear, congrats on your writing chapter 200. You have come pretty far. Flo07, thank you. Yen Su, before I start asking you questions, I want to complain about something. Flo07, what's wrong? Worried. Yensu, why didn't you make me a shameless character? Flo07, air. Yensu, I wanted to go wild and have pleasure nights with men. Because of you I couldn't do that. So why keeping such sexy body of mine? How could you be so heartless? Flo07, because I don't want to be skinned alive by Lu Feng. Yensu, what do you mean? Why will he do such thing to you? Flo07, you will find out soon enough. Yensu, are you trying to pick a fight with me, author dear? Flo07, ah. What are you saying dash? Ring ring star. Flo07, I think it's yours. Yensu, picking up her cell phone, OMG. It's elder cousin. Flo07, what? How's that possible? Yensu answered the call and put it on the loudspeaker. Elder cousin, is there something wrong? Mu Liang, dare to touch the author and you will die. Yensu, Mu Liang, well, after my first night with Hua Lan, author is yours. He hangs up. Flo07, thank you Mu Liang for telling me. I will delay your first time and let you dry in the Sahara Desert. With this I can live a long life. A mobile chimed. Yensu, I think it's yours. Maybe your boyfriend. Grinned. Flo07, taking her phone, it's Mu Liang. Yensu, he never texts anyone except Lan dear. What did he say? Please share with us. Flo07, he texted, I'm sorry. I will give you my top men to protect you from Yensu. Yensu, he is a traitor. Flo07, only for his beloved. Yensu, okay, back to questions. It is a question from your reader dear Adnael. Which was the first novel you read? And when? Flo07, The Sign of Four, Sherlock Holmes by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. It was translated in Bangla. I was 10 years old back then. I can hardly remember if I understood it or not. Yensu, such a young age. Do you like detective books? Flo07, I do, a lot. Yensu, that's why we smell mystery and suspense in your current novel. Which is your favorite novel and why? Flo07, I used to find novels boring because they are too lengthy and have too much information. Well, that's novels' characteristics. However, 6 months ago, for some reason, I was looking an app for reading online stories and in the Play Store I came across web novel. First novel that was recommended to me was Full Mark's Hidden Marriage. I liked the synopsis and started reading it. Next 48 hours, sleeping 4 hours only, I spent my time just reading it. Then I fell in love with novels. Smile. Yensu, author dear, you look like you are in love with a man. Okay, next question. How many chapters do you intend to write? Flo07, around 700. Yensu, some readers are dissatisfied with the cost of each chapter. What do you want to say about it? Flo07, actually, the price isn't fixed. It depends on the words count. The more words, the more spirit stones. Yensu, can't you compromise the length of your chapters? Flo07, I would love to. But the readers say that the chapters are short. They want bigger chapters. But in the contract, it was written that I'll write 2K words every day except Monday. Yensu, so, you are saying that it is impossible? Flo07, the contract is already signed. Yensu, about mass release, you mass released when you were in top 50, after premium, top 20, top 10, and then top 6. Will you give more mass releases in future? Flo07, yes, I did promise my readers a mass release when the novel will be in top 3, 2, 1. Yensu, good luck with that. Flo07, thank you. There is also another reason why I don't give a mass release every week. Yensu, and the reason is Flow 07, for those who have short amount of spirit stone just like me. I feel their pain. Yen Su, so generous of you, author dear. Flow 07, it's not a big deal. Yen Su, how many chapters do you write in a day? Flow 07, 3. Yen Su, can't you write a little more? Flow 07, writing isn't a problem, but I have two problems. 1. Lack of good typing skill, and 2. Generating new ideas. Yen Su, can't you improve your skills? Flow 07, after exam, I will learn how to type fluently. And imagination comes from the head and heart. I can't force it. Yen Su, the way the novel is progressing, President Li will find out about Hua Lan very soon. Flow 07, more or less. Yen Su, will he? Flow 07, I want Mu Lan to take care of her surroundings first. Yen Su, how do you describe this President Li? You didn't mention his name. Not even once. Flow 07, he is overbearing, aggressive, possessive, vengeful, and loving. Why loving? You will know later. I didn't mention his name yet because I want to keep it a mystery. Yen Su, speaking of mystery, what about the gray-eyed man? He appeared again in the chapter 199. One reader even named him the gray-eyed monster. Flow 07, I read that comment, I liked it. But this title belongs to the male protagonist Een of the manhwa The One. The gray-eyed man is someone that everyone will love in the next upcoming novel. Yen Su, speaking of that, when will you publish it? Flow 07, synopsis is ready, story is ready. The only thing I need is the title. I can't find one. I'll ask my dear readers on Discord later. I'll publish it after exam. 2 chapter every day. But shorter. Total 1.2k words every day except my holiday. Yen Su, well, we know that you are very tired after writing 2 chapters and tomorrow you have lots of work to do. Before we end the interview, do you want to say something to the readers? Flow 07, I really love you guys after your so many supports. It is the only thing that can motivate and give me courage to think of my freedom and dream. Please continue supporting me. Next novel will be edited from the very beginning. I can promise you that much. Yen Su, thank you author dear. Thank you, my reader dears. Love you. Keep loving me and keep supporting the novel created by author dear. Bye. Alluring smile. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 200, tonight would be a good show. Chapter 200, tonight would be a good show. Mu Lan laid on Mu Liang's body silently as he stroked her hair. The morning was beautiful. The wind was slightly cold and the birds were singing. Mu Lan smiled sweetly as she enjoyed the view. Seeing his wife's tender face, Mu Liang's icy heart melted in an instant. He was pleased to see the dark circles under her eyes were gone completely. Mu Liang said, "Don't give too much attention to video games. It is bad for your health." Mu Lan nodded. Then suddenly, she remembered something. Lian? What is it? Mu Liang asked. I think I found something. Mu Lan excitedly sat on the bed wrapping the quilt around her. Mu Liang also sat up as his upper body was visible to her eyes. She blushed at his showdown and looked somewhere else. She continued, when I was reading the code of car race 4 to 99, to me, it felt like the number 4 and 99 is a secret code. When she told Mu Liang about her suspicion, for some reason, his heart is racing rapidly. A few drops of sweat formed on his forehead. He listened to her every word intensely. Mu Lan didn't notice his change of expression. She continued saying, 99 can be I love you and 4. I'm not so sure. It can be time duration, like years or hours or months. Mu Lan was cut off as she landed on Mu Liang's firm chest and was hugged tightly by him. She blinked in confusion. Mu Lan asked, "What's wrong?" Mu Liang answered, "Just let me hold you longer." He couldn't tell her. He could not tell that Hua Lan wanted to confess to her first love and named this game. For meant the time of months they shared together. When she confessed to her first love and gave the game disc, what did that man do? He smashed it mercilessly with his leg without caring for her love. "Lan, why must you have to suffer like this?" Mu Liang thought as he held her tighter. His heart was aching for her. 2 days later, Anne's birthday party was held at Dawn Mansion. It was decorated wonderfully. Many business families were gathered here. Women were wearing expensive dresses and jewelry. The place was filled with gossip and laughter. There was occasionally smell of delicious food. Yen Su came in the party with Richard. She wore a Zoe sequin mini dress. It was an eye-catching sequin pink light-up figure flaunting dress which was a party ready with a plunging neckline. She wore a nude makeup and pink lipstick. Her diamond earrings glittered in the party lights. Her hair was tied in a headband updo. Her lascivious cleaves was too showy. Her curves made the presented men's mouth dry. Behind them was Hua Lan. She didn't want to attend, but Yen Su threatened to make her life living hell, so she was forced to join them. She wore a Prussian blue Miami high-low dress. It was more like a waterfall. Ruffles on its glittery tulle gave this style a serene movement, and its bodice was covered in iridescent sequins for a party-starting feel, with soft satin below the armholes to avoid abrasions. This design featured adjustable shoulder straps and a full lining. Her pale skin glowed in the evening. Her black shiny hair was tied in a mermaid bow braid. Her gray eyes looked way too attractive. Even without her makeup, she was caught by many eyes. Xiang came with Mu Liang. She was frightened to death and her face was pale. However, Yen Su's skillful makeover covered her pale face. She wore a green Reformation Christina dress. It was a sophisticated dress with a squared-off neckline features a dramatic side slit. On her waist, there was a gold chain belt loosely hanging. Her golden hair was tied in a twist-back hairstyle. Finally, Mu Lan came with Mu Feng as her hand was on his arm. She wore a red wine-colored speechless off-the-shoulder bodycon dress. It had an elegantly curved off-the-shoulder neckline and showed off toned shoulders. On her neck, there was a red ruby stone with platinum chain and a pair of ruby tops. Her hair was tied in waterfall braid. Her eyes were shining and her lips were dyed in wine-colored lipstick. Mu Lan looked extremely elegant. Women looked at her with eyes full of envy and men were looking at her in admiration. Mu Feng glanced at his elder brother and sighed. Mu Liang looked like the ruthless emperor, Qin Shi Huang Di. His cold vibe was making Qiang shiver in fright. "Big brother, can't you be a little gentler to my wife?" Mu Feng thought. Mu Liang was feeling extremely unwell. He only wanted to come to such a boring birthday party full of disgusting women because it was his dream to become Mu Lan's partner in an event. Mu Liang also promised her that he would be her partner. However, Mu Feng changed his plan and told his elder brother that Mu Feng would partner up with Mu Lan. Mu Liang frowned and immediately declined the offer. Mu Feng then started coaxing his elder brother. "Big brother, this plan is even more attractive." Mu Liang didn't want to listen. "Whatever. Mu Feng consoled his elder brother. "Big brother, don't worry. Just partner up with Ying at first. You can partner her up after the plan would succeed." "I don't care." Mu Feng was on the verge of dying. "Don't you want to punish those women who hurt your wife?" Mu Feng was still stubborn. "I can kill them." "Do you really want that your wife will take the spotlight and think of you as her sugar daddy and make her lose her face?" "Fine." Mu Liang slammed the door shut. Mu Liang looked at his beautiful wife who was close to his younger brother. His mood worsened. He looked at the entrance and something caught his eyes. He blinked. Lu Feng, who usually didn't like to attend any party in the past, after a clear rejection from Yan Su, actually came to the birthday party. Mu Liang also found another friend who should be in China right now. His handsome friend's gray eyes glinted with mystery. Tonight would be a good show. Underscore 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 asterisk the ruthless Chinese Emperor Qin Shi Huang, how he unified and tyrannized his subjects. Qin Shi Huangdi, translated as the first emperor of the Qin, often shortened as Qin Shi Huang, is arguably one of China's best-known emperors. It is undeniable that Qin Shi Huang was an extremely ruthless ruler. Nevertheless, it was this trait that enabled him to unify China, thus bringing an end to the Warring States period. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Volume 3. Chapter 201 Jealousy and Curiosity. Chapter 201 Jealousy and Curiosity. Yan Su looked around and saw Mu Liang with Qiying. She blinked. Did I see wrongly? She wondered. Yan Su could not think of any reason for Mu Liang to escort his would-be sister-in-law. She glanced over at Mu Lan, who was with Mu Feng. She found it very suspicious. Yan Su walked to Mu Feng to ask him what was going on. Just then, she noticed Lu Feng. She felt delighted. She grabbed her escort Richard and pulled him toward Lu Feng. Lu Feng, what a pleasant surprise! She smiled generously. Lu Feng's eyes narrowed watching this couple. So, Mu Feng was correct. She actually came with this playboy. How can she have such a bad taste? He thought. Last night, Mu Feng called Lu Feng and told him that Yan Su was dating Richard. Hearing such news, Lu Feng directly asked for an invitation to join An's birthday party. What he didn't know was that it was all a part of Yan Su's plan. Yan Su deliberately told her friends about her partnership with Richard. Just as she thought, Mu Lan was concerned, which made the soft-hearted person Qiying talk to her boyfriend about it. Her mischievous boyfriend, Mu Feng, made up a story that Yan Su was dating Richard and told Lu Feng to make him lose his mind. Yan Su could not believe that her plan actually worked. She planned on thanking Hua Lan after the plan would be succeeded. After all, Hua Lan helped her describing everyone's character. Can I talk to you privately? Lu Feng asked Yan Su. He tried to be as polite as he could. Yan Su smiled brightly as she asked back. Can't you see that I'm with Richard? Then she pulled her escort to a group of people who were Richard's friends. For some reason, Lu Feng was irritated by her action. He went to Mu Liang. Mu Liang breathed a sigh of relief to be able to see a familiar face and began to talk to his friend. Why are you here? Mu Liang asked. Lu Feng was frustrated as he asked back. Why do you think? Mu Liang found it amusing and said, if you want attention, draw her with the same way you are drawn. You mean? I understand. Lu Feng looked around and found Hua Lan, who was busy looking at the table full of pastries. He went to Hua Lan and said, Hello miss, I'm Lu Feng, a friend of Dash. He was cut off. I know who you are. I saw you in our campus cafeteria with Xiaoying and Xiaolan. Hua Lan saw him the day after when Qiying was molested. Lu Feng didn't know what to say. Hua Lan asked, "What brings you to me?" "I just wanted to talk to you." Lu Feng smiled lightly. "What's the point of lying to me? If you want someone's attention, can't you do it in a manly way?" Hua Lan looked at his eyes. Lu Feng was sweating. He found her really scary. How does she know? He wondered. Lu Feng gathered some courage and said, "Can you help me?" Hearing the question, Hua Lan smiled a little. She glanced at Yen Su and said, "It is not that hard to grab the attention of Yen Su." She looked at him and continued, "Try to flirt with a perverted girl, she will be blown away by anger." Afterward, Hua Lan went over to the table and started to eat pastry. Lu Feng looked at her in awe. He didn't realize that a girl looked at them with eyes full of jealousy and a man looked at them curiously. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 202, Flirting. 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 Chapter 202, Flirting. 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 The party was held in the garden. The food table was on the corner side of the mansion. Hua Lan was eating pastry with great affection. Looking at her, Lu Feng was thinking of Hua Lan's idea. That moment, a girl came to talk to him. "You must be Lu Feng," she exclaimed. Lu Feng glanced at her. The girl was a French blonde beauty. She was wearing a red low-cut short-fitting dress revealing her cleavage and other body parts. She looked very seductive. He answered, "I am." The girl exclaimed in joy. "OMG. I can't believe it. I am a fan of yours." She came a little closer and introduced herself. "I am Laura Margot. I'm studying medical at the PSL Research University. It is a pleasure to meet you, Feng." PSL Research University was one of the top medical schools in France. Lu Feng understood that she was a talented student. Lu Corporation always hired people from top schools. He smiled and said, "Pleasure is mine." His eyebrow rose by thinking about the way she mentioned his name. Feng? So intimate. He thought. Lu Feng wanted to move away but soon he remembered Hua Lan's advice. He had to flirt. Therefore, he stopped walking and was just going to say something to her, but he suddenly froze on the spot because Laura circled her right hand around his left arm and rubbed her bosom on his arms. She said with a luscious smile, "Escort me tonight, okay?" Lu Feng, who had dated 5 girls in his youth, glanced at her cleavage and thought, "So big." Immediately he smiled handsomely and said, "Sure." There was only one thing that was in his mind: flirting. 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 Laura was very pleased. She gave Lu Feng a sultry smile and pulled him to introduce him to her friends. Yen Su's smile lost its charm immediately after she saw Lu Feng's partner. She cursed him in her mind and then again resumed talking to Richard's friend with a sweet smile. But her concentration kept breaking every few seconds as she glanced at Lu Feng and his partner again and again. Damn this Lu Feng. How could he partner up with such a cheap girl? She gritted her teeth. Soon Laura Margot took Lu Feng to the corner, close to where the food was served. Experienced Lu Feng could tell what was going to happen. Laura pushed Lu Feng to the wall, circled her arms around his neck, rubbed herself on his chest and then kissed his lips deeply. Just when Lu Feng was going to reject her, his mind told him, "Flirting. Flirting. Flirting." Soon, Lu Feng groped her buttocks and pulled her towards him as he kissed her alluring lips with same passion. He praised her in his mind for her being such a good kisser. Laura moaned in pleasure. She could tell that Lu Feng was experienced just by his mature kissing. She was delightful. Yan Su, who was having a drink with her escort and his friends, suddenly lost track of Lu Feng and his cheap partner. She looked around and couldn't find them. She saw Hua Lan, who was giving all her attention to the food. Yan Su smiled and went over to her foodie friend. "Enjoying the food?" Yan Su asked. Hua Lan nodded as she chewed down another pastry. "After that," she replied, "it is good." Yan Su smiled fondly. Then she asked, "Have you seen Lu Feng? He was talking to someone a few minutes ago." Hua Lan hid her smile and pointed out a direction. Yan Su looked behind her and froze at the sight where Lu Feng and Laura Margot were kissing. Yan Su and Hua Lan could not tell what happened next. Suddenly, there was a crash sound. The kissing couple got startled and moved away from each other. Then the four of them saw that a plate with a chocolate pastry was thrown at the wall, very next to Lu Feng's head. If it was a little closer. Lu Feng and Laura were looking at Yan Su in shock while Yan Su was glaring at both of them. Hua Lan first looked at the wall and then looked at her empty hand which was holding the plate a few seconds ago. Without a word, she took another plate of pastry. The party area was large and there were a few people close to the table. Those who heard the crashing sound looked at them. Feeling the gazes, Yan Su smiled brightly and said, "Sorry, my hand slipped." Hua Lan commented from the side, "It slipped pretty far." If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 203, Kissing? Ha? Kissing? Chapter 203, Kissing? Ha? Kissing? Yan Su put a beautiful smile and left elegantly to join her escort, Richard. Though she had a smile on her lips, her heart was burning in rage. Kissing? Ha? Kissing? I'll show you what a kiss is. HMF, she rolled her eyes subconsciously. She was so into the scene she encountered a few minutes ago that she could not notice that she was behaving strangely. Richard looked at her suspiciously. He circled his left arm around her waist and asked, "Are you okay?" His eyes were glittering. Yan Su was feeling a little hot. She said, I want to breathe some fresh air." Her head was dizzy and she was sweating. How odd. Why am I feeling so uncomfortable? She wondered as she was panting slightly. "Let me take you to the garden," Richard gently said as he pulled her toward the back of the building. Yan Su felt the cold breeze and felt a bit well. But her heart was still beating loudly. A red hue began to form on her cheeks. Richard took her to the dark corner and his back touched the cold wall. He hugged Yan Su and caressed her body. Yan Su gave a sigh. Hearing that, his breath became irregular. He put his lips on her right ear and whispered, "Yan Su darling, you are so beautiful. I'm so in love with you." Afterward, Richard kissed her lightly on the lips. When he didn't get any rejection from her part and also when she lightly kissed him back, his kiss became wilder and wilder. Yan Su was feeling hot. November's cold breeze didn't cool her down at all. Suddenly, she was hugged and someone began to caress her body in a perverted manner. If she was sober, she would twist the man's hand and would break it off. But she was toxic. She liked the touch. She wanted it for a long time. She gave a sigh. The man said something to her. Did she just hear "I love you"? She felt joy in her heart. When he kissed her, she was delighted as she kissed him back. Soon the kiss became wilder and Richard's hands began to touch all over her. She playfully rubbed herself on his body. He groped her bosom and played with them. He was rewarded with a moan. Richard became more engrossed as he skillfully pulled her dress zipper down and his mouth touched her cleavage and it went lower with each passing minute. He pushed her towards the wall and pulled her dress up. He licked his lips as he looked down at her greedily. The moment Richard stretched his hand down there, someone pulled him out strongly and kicked his groin. Lu Feng was feeling good after Yan Su's sudden outburst. Feeling happy, he excused himself from Laura and went to the table to have some food. He started conversing with Hua Lan and thanked her. A few minutes later, Hua Lan frowned and Lu Feng glanced at the direction she was looking at. He saw that Richard was taking Yan Su towards the garden. Lu Feng scoffed as he thought that she was deliberately trying to provoke him. However, he became serious as soon as he saw her flushed face. Lu Feng excused himself and walked behind them. In the dark, he almost lost them. Suddenly hearing moans, he ran immediately following the sound. When he saw Yan Su half naked, his blood boiled in anger and he kicked Richard. Getting a hard kick in the groin, Richard was seeing stars and he groaned and fell down. Lu Feng checked Yan Su's pulse and found it unusually faster. He took care of her clothes and carried her out in front of everyone. Hua Lan was peeping towards the dark corner as she was worried. Watching that her friend was safe, she was relieved and moved away. However, she was bumped into someone. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 204, I am doing my job. Chapter 204, I am doing my job. Hua Lan bumped into someone. Well, what do we have here? A playful tone said. Danger. Hua Lan's instinct said. She rubbed her nose, which was aching. She looked calmly at the man and said with a poker face, I'm sorry. Then she tried to leave. She saw 3 men. She remembered that they were Richard's friends. Are they here for, Hua Lan realized that these men were here to share the fun of enjoying Yan Su with Richard. Because they were heading in the direction where Yan Su and Richard were a few seconds ago. Her eyes dangerously flashed as she felt disgusted. She wanted to leave, but one of them blocked her way. Hua Lan was a small and skinny girl who looks vulnerable all the time. Without her big glasses, she looked absolutely childish. Aren't you the model student of our school? The one with curly hairs asked in surprise. He was the one blocking her way. So, they are from our school. Hua Lan thought. She looked around to find Qiang and Mu Liang, but because of her height and also for those tall boys who were gathered around her, she was unable to do so. Really? She is so cute. The long-haired boy said. He looked at her from top to bottom. Why don't we see if this model student of our school tastes good or not? The plain-haired man said as he licked his lips. Hua Lan shivered in fright. My experience says that she wouldn't be delicious. The long-haired boy said as he grabbed her skinny right hand and pulled her to him. Hua Lan panicked but tried to calm her heart. She remembered that Lu Feng kicked Richard at that point. I could give it a try. She thought. Just the way she thought, she really kicked that long-haired boy with all her might. The sudden attack made the long-haired boy lose her hand due to extreme pain and he nearly fell down. The other 2 were absolutely dumbfounded by the sudden turn of the event. Who could have thought that such a tiny girl had so much strength? Finding an opportunity to flee, Hua Lan didn't waste her time. She ran as fast as she could. But the curly-haired boy was faster than she was. He grabbed her dress from behind and pulled her back. You hold your name by your actions, model student. But this ends now. He said. Splash. The smile of the curly-haired boy vanished in a flash as his head and face were soaked with red wine. Hua Lan, who was straggling, also froze and looked at the brave person. But before she could, she was strongly held by that person and she smelt a familiar perfume. That night at the bar. Gray eyes. Hua Lan was drunk, but she could still remember the smell of the kingly man and his beautiful gray eyes. They were imprinted in her mind. I'm sorry. But she cannot have fun with you. The mysterious man said in a cold tone. His perfect gray eyes were narrowed. The curly-haired man was furious. You. A watchdog. Go do your job. Hua Lan looked at her rescuer's uniform. He is a guard of this mansion? She wondered. The man gave a chilling smile and said, I am doing my job. The plain-haired said, you are asking for a beating. He growled and tried to hit him. The mysterious man said in Hua Lan's left ear, please hold a little longer. His warm breaths made Hua Lan shiver. The gray-eyed man moved away with her in reflex. Then kicked his butt, as the plain-haired boy fell with a thud. The curly-haired dialed a number and called N's brother. Ruddy Don, who had the same age as N, showed up and started to bicker at the gray-eyed man. Ruddy almost hit him with a rod. In an instant, Hua Lan came forward and covered the mysterious rescuer of her. If you want to hurt him because he saved me from those perverts, you have to go through me. Her eyes were as sharp as a knife, making Ruddy's heart tremble in fear. When Ruddy realized that he couldn't hurt her, he looked at the gray-eyed and said, you are fired. Then he left. Hua Lan looked back and asked her rescuer, are you all right? Her voice was soft. The mysterious man was awed by her sudden protective nature. Hearing her question, he smiled and said, that should be my question. Don't you think so? Hua Lan apologized as she bowed, I'm sorry. Because of me, you lost your job. Though you are more fitted to be a ruler. The gray-eyed man's eyebrow rose and he said, don't worry about me. I had done what I intended to do. You are not safe alone. Shall I take you to your home? Looking at his eyes, she knew that she could trust him. So, she nodded and said, I'll be in your care. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 205, She has a terrible personality. Chapter 205, She has a terrible personality. While Lu Feng took away Yen Su, and Don was looking at Mu Lan, who was enjoying her first birthday party with Mu Feng. Both Mu Feng and Mu Lan were in a good relationship. One would look at him as her brother, and the other would look at her as his soul sister. They were gossiping about funny things and eating sweet creamy pastries. Mu Lan once thought, have I ever had a birthday party for myself? If she knew that her birthdays were the worst days of her life, she would be pretty upset. While Mu Lan was absorbed in her own thoughts, she was unaware of someone's jealous gaze. How dare she? How come she was escorted by two handsome men? And chewed her lips. First, she saw Mu Lan with the man she was interested in. She kissed him on the balcony. Now Mu Lan was dating another handsome guy and he was none other than Mu Feng. The legendary Mu Feng. What quality did she have that could allow her to become Mu Feng's girlfriend? When Mu Feng introduced her to the male guests, everyone had praised her beauty. And Don's blood was boiling just like a volcano, as if she could burn every last bit of this Chinese girl. Anne's boyfriend looked at her and asked, Baby, why are you so upset? Today is your birthday. Shouldn't you celebrate with others? Anne looked at her boyfriend. He was someone who was well known for his photography career. But she was not satisfied with him. Her boyfriend might be handsome and rich, but he was not in the same league as Mu Feng. Her boyfriend might have caught something unusual about her behavior. He took her to the bed saying, I have something urgent to tell you. As they went inside the bedroom, he hugged Anne. Anne was stunned. She asked, What are you doing? What is the thing you wanted to talk to me about? Her boyfriend said, I just don't like it when my pet looks at other good-looking men. His golden hair glowed in the light and his green eyes were dangerously narrow. Seeing this new side of her boyfriend for 2 months, Anne was actually frightened. She gulped down her saliva. Glancing at her who looked like a frightened cat, his dangerous eyes became normal. He asked, What were you thinking back then when you were looking at the couple close to the food table? *T. He found out. Anne thought. She smiled and circled her arms around her boyfriend's delicate neck. It isn't like that. The girl is not what others think of her. I saw her kissing a handsome man in the ball and now she has another boyfriend. Maybe she was cheating on her boyfriend that night. The handsome boyfriend gently rubbed her hair just the way she liked it. He asked, "Who are you talking about? The woman in red dress?" And said, "Yes, her name is Lan. The moment she came to the class, she took my spotlight. Everyone says that she is a true beauty, she is a talent. Actually, I also started to believe it until I found the real her." Her boyfriend kissed her lips and said, "What did you find out?" And replied, "She was suddenly absent after the ball and just tried to create a vibe. She even has a fake personality. She shows her friendly face in front of everyone, but in reality she only stays with 3 girls because her friends are rich." Her boyfriend said, "She has a terrible personality." And nodded and said, "She does." He continued, "She took your spotlight, so she needs to be punished. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 206, But why now? Her boyfriend continued, "She took your spotlight, so she has to be punished." And twisted her mouth. She asked, "But who will punish her?" "My friends are not available." He asked, "Why aren't they available?" "They were hurt by Lan's friends." And complained. Her boyfriend was asked again, "How did that happen?" And told him that Lan's friends tripped, broke a leg, then stole their boyfriends from her friends. She also said, "They also made our professor mad at me and the professor scolded me a lot." And started to cry. She continued, "I was really ashamed back then." The man comforted her as he rubbed her back. He asked, "What if I help you punish that evil girl?" Anne's crocodile's tears suddenly stopped as she looked at her boyfriend. She was joyous to hear him say that. Finally, he came to some use. She thought. And came closer to her boyfriend and gave him a peck. She asked, "How do you plan on doing it?" The man looked at her red lips and said, "It is very easy. But first, I want a reward." His tone became dark. And understood very well what he wanted. But she wanted to know the plan. She was feeling excitement. She said, "How can I give you a reward first? The task isn't completed yet. Don't you think that it is very unfair?" Anne's boyfriend already started to take off her clothes. He said, "It is very fair. Because this is the last time we will be together." He thought. In a second, the room was filled with a woman's moans and a man's groans. Their frictions were louder than before. 20 minutes later, after their release, they changed position and moved to the window. Anne's boyfriend put her on the window and moved from behind. His eyes went outside the window, where a girl in red dress was smiling happily while eating food. Suddenly implying he became faster after he saw her. Since the room was bright, anyone could see them clearly from the outside. But they paid no attention to it. Even after the 3rd time, the man didn't let go. They went on for 2 full hours, doing it in many different positions, making Anne worn out. And was sitting on the floor. Her body was full of bite marks, sweat, and liquids. She panted heavily. After she slightly calmed her breaths, she looked at the naked handsome man before her and thought, he was never this passionate before. But why now? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 207, Long-Lasting Friendship. Chapter 207, Long-Lasting Friendship. And thought of their passionate moments. It lasted only for 2 hours. Her boyfriend had already put on his clothes. He gave her a little bottle. And looked at him in a questioning gaze. "What is it?" she asked. He replied, "It is an aphrodisiac. It is a very powerful potion. Give her a drink mixed with this, apologize to her and say that it was a friendly gesture and you wanted to be her friend. Make sure that both of you drink together, but only her glass would have the potion. Do you understand? Of course, and understood him clearly. She put on her dress and rearranged her hair. Afterwards, she took the potion and went out in a jocund mood. Mu Lan was having a sumptuous dinner. Her stomach was filled. She rubbed her belly with satisfaction as she burped lightly. Sister Lan Lan, you ate too much. What will happen if you gain weight? Mu Feng whispered from her left side. This way, Liang cannot carry me anymore. Isn't that great? Mu Lan said. Mu Feng looked at her with disbelief. He asked, so it was your plan from the very beginning? I underestimated you. Mu Lan said, now you are on the right track. As Mu Lan and Mu Feng were having fun, and Don walked towards them. Lan? She softly asked. Mu Lan looked at her and saw that and was standing with 2 glasses of wine. Her face was innocent. She came closer. I hope you had a wonderful evening. Mu Lan said. She felt something was not right. Mu Lan already wished her and gave her a gift the moment they came here. She knew that and didn't like her. However, she could not understand why and wished to talk to her again. And said, I know that I've never talked to you properly and as an adult I feel bad. Today is my birthday and despite my behavior, you came to wish me and enjoyed the party. I'm truly glad. I am here to compensate for what I have done. Please, be my friend. I promise to be true to you. Yes, I will be very true to you, you by ******. And Dawn thought in her mind. Mu Lan found it hard to believe that and would have a sudden change of heart just because she came to her birthday party. What is she planning? Mu Lan wondered as she looked at the glasses of wine. And stretched her hand with a wine glass and said, let's become good friends. Mu Lan looked at Anne's eyes which looked innocent. However, looking at the red wine, she thought that she was looking at poison. She hesitated before taking the glass, but still stretched her hand to take the glass. Just then, Mu Feng took both the glasses from Anne and looked at Mu Lan, showing in his back. He handed over a glass of wine to Mu Lan and took the other glass for himself. Ms. Dawn, thank you for your kindness. We pray that every day a girl like you is born. Mu Feng said happily. Dumbfounded and was looking at Mu Feng. When Mu Feng finished, she said, actually this glass is mine for wishing a prosperous relationship with her. Mu Feng looked at his glass and felt ashamed. His face was red. He apologized as he gave Anne her glass back. Mu Lan and Anne both smiled as they clinked their glasses together. For our long-lasting friendship. And Don said. For our long-lasting friendship. Mu Lan said. Cheers. They said together and drank the whole glass of wine. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 208, are you sure about that? Chapter 208, are you sure about that? Cheers. Both Mu Lan and Don said together and downed the whole glass of wine. Later, Anne began to talk to Mu Lan about many things and she kept glancing at her wristwatch. She was getting both excited and impatient at the same time. Why is this by ***** still acting like she isn't feeling anything? And frowned as she wondered. Honestly, Mu Lan was feeling just fine. While the two were talking, Anne started to feel hot all of a sudden. She started to feel amorous. Her blood was boiling. She was feeling dizzy. Her eyes became red as she glared at Mu Lan and asked, what did you do to me? Actually, Mu Lan felt strange on seeing her reaction and wanted to ask that what was wrong with her. But instead, Anne was the one who asked her first. Mu Lan answered innocently, what did I do? What can I do? I am just talking to you. and shook her head as she wanted to shake off her dizziness. She said, "And no, which glass of wine did you give me?" Mu Lan was stunned. She said, "And, my friend, have you forgotten that you are the one who offered me the wine? I did not give you anything." Anne's glass fell from her grasp and shuddered on the ground. Hearing the sudden crash sound, people curiously looked at them. Anne's face was bright red. She was panting heavily. She was in no mood to talk to Mu Lan. Her head wasn't working either. Mu Feng caught Mu Lan by her arm and pulled her behind him. He took out his cell phone and tapped some buttons and put it back in his pocket. And said, I won, Ted, to Drew. GYU. B but why, am I, T the one? Get, ting all drugged and drunk? Her words were clearly heard by the people around them. They were astounded by her words. Drug? She wanted to drug Lan in her own birthday? People started whispering amongst themselves. Some even began to video the whole thing. Mu Lan asked from behind Mu Feng, "Why did you want to drug me?" And laughed loudly. Ah ha 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 ha. What is she saying? Drug you? Why? Because you took my spotlight. Ha? What spotlight? And screamed as she continued talking, "Everyone loved me. They always paid attention to me. They always said that I was the most beautiful girl of our class. But the moment you came, they all gave you attention. When you weren't around, they were worried about your health. The boys said that you are pretty. Why you took my spotlight?" The students of fine arts who were still there began to whisper. What the hell is that? Spotlight? Does she have that heroin syndrome? So the rumors were true? She is jealous of our Lan. She cannot even win against Qiang. How can she win against Lan? And did not pay heed to their whispers. She further said, "Why you have," and snatched that man away from me. You two kissed. I saw that. Snatched? Man? Kiss? What's going on here? Everyone listened to her words attentively. They got a chance to know some juicy stories. This time Mu Feng said coolly, "Are you talking about me? Why can't I kiss my own girlfriend?" Oh? It was him? So An wanted to have Lan's boyfriend? He is none other than Mu Feng from the legendary Mu family? And is so dead. People around them thought. And shook her head negatively. She said, "And no. Not. You. Ha? So Lan was a cheat? She cheated Mu Feng." Mu Feng laughed coldly. He said, "Are you sure about that? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 209, Truth Serum. Chapter 209, Truth Serum. Hearing Mu Feng's question, Anne asked, "What do you mean?" And was panting loudly right now. Though she could see Mu Feng, however, it was very vague. Mu Lan whispered in Mu Feng's ear, "Did you give her the truth serum?" "There is no such thing. It is an aphrodisiac and I didn't give it to her, she was the one who wanted to give it to you." Mu Feng also whispered back. "But I saw you swapping the glass and you gave it to her." "In a way, you gave it to her." For some reason, Mu Lan was having fun. Before Mu Feng could open his mouth, someone said, "What's going on?" The voice was deep and cold. As Anne looked at the handsome man, in an instant her eyes were filled with desire. "He is here! He is here!" She was overjoyed with lust. "Oh, my darling!" Mu Liang was standing in a corner with Qiang. As per Mu Feng's plan, he was waiting in the dark corner. He quietly stood in the dark as he sipped red wine. His eyes were dark and cold. Ying couldn't help but shiver lightly. Mu Liang narrowed his eyes as he saw her reaction. However, he didn't say anything. He believed that he should only be kind to his woman, not anyone else. At the end, Ying could not take anymore and timidly excused herself. Before leaving, she texted her boyfriend that she was going to wait for him at the car parking. As she was walking towards the car parking, she got startled to find Hua Lan with a handsome fellow. Hua Lan, how? Her voice trailed off. Ying wanted to ask, Hua Lan, how did you get a boyfriend? However, she couldn't. Her mouth was open, but her voice betrayed her. Hua Lan could read her friend's eyes. She immediately said, "It's not what you think. To save me, he lost his job. He is sending me home. Are you coming with me or are you staying back?" She did not say any more. Ying immediately nodded. She did not forget to send her boyfriend a text so that he would not worry. While Mu Liang lazily stood in the dark, he suddenly received a text message. He looked at the screen and saw a text from Mu Feng. "Come forth, big brother." Mu Liang's face twisted reading such a dramatic text. He slowly walked to the food table where everyone were present. He frowned at the sight of Mu Lan, who was whispering to Mu Feng, and then saw impending, who was on the verge to strip herself. Mu Liang asked coldly, "What's going on?" and looked at him. Her eyes were full of lust, thus making Mu Liang's frown deeper. Aphrodisiac? He thought. And stretched her arms and came closer to Mu Liang. "Oh, my darling." Mu Liang twisted his face with disgust and tried to move away, so that he would not be touched. Due to the aphrodisiac effect, and was feeling ecstatic. She seductively said, "Darling, I love you. You are the only one for me. You are so handsome. I want you." Mu Feng whispered to Mu Lan, "You may be right. It is a truth serum." Many men at the party gulped down their saliva. However, Mu Liang and Mu Feng were unaffected. Especially Mu Liang. His eyes were as cold as the Himalayas and as dark as the bottom of a burnt pot. Mu Liang didn't even bother to look at her. He took out his cell phone and texted Mu Lan, "Shall we go?" Mu Lan checked her cell phone, which chimed. She smiled after reading his text. Mu Lan replied, "I will be at the parking lot once it ends." When and saw that Mu Liang didn't give her any attention, she didn't care anymore. She saw no one except him. In spite of this, he didn't care. And started to take off her heels. Then, she unzipped her low-cut dress. People whistled around her. But she didn't notice them. To her, only the handsome guy in front of her could excite her. One who excited her was only the handsome guy in front of her. Anne's lips were parted, panting softly. Her eyes were moist. Her face was flushed. Slowly, she took out her dress. Mu Liang, not even once, looked at Anne. He was tapping his cell phone. Right now, he was texting Hugo. Hugo was at his office working with the intelligence force. After receiving the text, he went to the IT team to take care of the birthday videos. Mu Liang instructed Hugo that there shouldn't be any video of Mu Lan, Mu Feng than him, except Anne. Hugo felt sorry for Anne, who was going to get to a huge blow. Meanwhile, Anne took off the last shred of her clothing. She was now as naked as she was when she was born. In the winter, she didn't feel cold, rather, she was feeling hotter. And panted heavily as she said to Mu Liang, "Darling, I love you. Can't you see? Why don't you look at me, baby? I want you to love me back. You are so handsome. I want your body. Baby, come to me." Mu Liang didn't bother to say a word to her. After he finished texting, he went closer to where Mu Feng and Mu Lan were standing. He put down the wine glass and got out of this place. He acted like and didn't even exist. Anne, who was rejected, cried out. She screamed as she asked, "Why won't you look at me? I'm seducing you. I'm trying to love you. Can you really not see that? It is all her fault, isn't it? It is she who seduced you first and took you away from me, isn't it? Shameless by *ch. Where are you? Come here. And looked around and found Mu Lan hiding behind Mu Feng. Mu Lan was too ashamed to look at the naked girl in front of everyone, and cursed loudly by *ch. And then ran crazily towards Mu Lan. Mu Lan was already pale due to Anne's weird acting. She glanced at Anne when she screamed. Looking at a naked woman running towards her, she felt nauseated. Her body turned cold and she trembled slightly. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 210, Sleep with You. Chapter 210, Sleep with You. Mu Lan was already pale due to Anne's weird acting. She glanced at Anne when she screamed. Looking at a naked woman running towards her, she felt nauseated. Her body turned cold and she trembled slightly. Mu Feng protected Mu Lan while covering her from Anne and signaled some of his friends from school who were present at the party. They were clearly enjoying the scene. As Mu Feng signaled to them, two of the men came forward and held her hands. One of them said, "That's enough, Mississippi. Please behave yourself. We are all your invited guest. Why are you disrespecting your guests like this?" If it had been in a different situation, Anne would have told SC*EWU. However, at this moment, Anne was completely nuts. The body parts where the two men touched her were hot and burning. She panted continuously and rubbed her thighs. And looked at the men seductively. Her eyes were full of lust and were craving for those men's touch. She moaned and said, I want you. Take me. The two men, who were grabbing her hands, were not Mu Liang. They were face playboys of the city. On hearing her words, their faces had turned red. Mu Feng told them that they were going to have fun. However, they did not know that it would turn out like this. One of them licked his dry lips and said, "Miss, I think you should call off the party and take some rest." As if Anne could hear what he was saying. She was running out of patience. She once again said, "Baby, take me." One of the guys who was making the video said, "Why are you guys being so modest? If she wants you to take her, then take her. If you don't want to, then just leave her to us." That man's friends agreed as well. Looking at all of them who were having fun, Mu Feng quietly took Mu Lan off from the site. In the parking lot, Mu Liang was waiting for them beside his car. He looked at Mu Lan, who was looking pale. He immediately walked towards her. Mu Feng smiled brightly and said, "Mission success. Thanks to you, big brother." Mu Liang only said, then he took off his gray coat and put it on Mu Lan's shoulder. Mu Lan looked at him as she trembled slightly. Looking at her pale face, Mu Liang asked in a soft tone, "Are you all right?" Mu Lan simply nodded and said nothing else. But her face was still looking pale. Mu Liang hugged her lightly and took her inside the car, leaving Mu Feng alone. As Mu Lan was in Mu Liang's arms and her head on his right shoulder, within a second she felt worse. Ronald asked his boss, "Shall I drive to the campus?" Mu Liang said succinctly, "To the mansion. Drive slowly." Mu Feng screamed from outside, "I helped your darling wife. Is this how you treat me?" He felt wronged by these two young people. He sighed and called his girlfriend. "Hello?" Shi Ying answered. "Wifey, you are talking to me? I'm so glad. Please don't send those kicking emojis again. I cannot take it anymore. I feel like I am left behind alone." Mu Feng complained. Shi Ying was stunned. She asked, "What are you talking about? What kicking emojis?" Mu Feng said, "The one you sent me a week ago." Shi Ying said, "Let me check." After a minute of silence, she said, "It wasn't me who sent it. It was Yen Su." Mu Feng. After a while he said, "Just tell Yen Su that I will have a match with her tomorrow." "She is not here," Xi Ying said. Mu Feng frowned. "What do you mean?" Xi Ying answered, "Dr. Lu Feng called. He said that he was taking her to the research center." Mu Feng was stunned. At last he made a move. He thought. Mu Liang hugged the woman who wasn't feeling well. He ordered Ronald to turn off the air cooler and to open the windows. Later, he said, "Don't worry, we will reach home soon." Mu Lan nodded in response. She felt good, and as the cold wind caressed her face, she took a deep breath. However, she could not forget Anne's naked body and her screams in front of everyone. Her body trembled again as she buried her face in Mu Liang's arm. Mu Liang kissed her forehead and patted her head tenderly. Mu Lan inhaled his manly scent and immediately she felt slightly better. To further feel his warmth, she circled her arms around his thin waist. Mu Liang smiled at her spoiling attitude. He gently pulled her closer. Love was in the air. Even Ronald felt the warmth in this cold weather as his face turned red. It would usually take an hour to reach the destination. But today it took 2 hours. Yet, Mu Liang felt it was a very short journey. However, Ronald was losing his mind. When they reached the gate of the mansion, he sighed in relief and thought, "Thank goodness. At last we reached." Mu Liang carried Mu Lan inside the house, who was comfortably hugging him. "Welcome home, young." This time, Butler Leo not only lost his words, but also forgot to bow. Mu Liang didn't mind at all. He went upstairs and put her down. He then asked, "Do you want something to drink?" Mu Lan looked at him and said, "I want to take a bath first." Mu Liang smiled and said, "Let's go." Mu Lan's face turned red immediately. She started to push Mu Liang away. Mu Liang gave out a slight laughter as his eyes shone in the dark night. Then he pulled her to him and kissed her lips. Mu Lan was taken aback, but soon her head went blank. After Mu Lan got breathless, Mu Liang left her swollen lips. His hoarse voice said, "Go and take a bath. I'll bring you a glass of water." Mu Lan, who was panting lightly, nodded and slowly went to the bathroom. When she came out, Mu Liang had already taken bath and brought a glass of water for her. Mu Lan drank the whole glass and looked at Mu Liang. "Are you going to?" Her voice trailed off. "Sleep with you." Mu Liang finished her sentence. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 211, The Owner of the Car. Chapter 211, The Owner of the Car. It was a cold night. The limited edition Volkswagen R23 was being driven on the Rue de Rivoli road in Paris. The night was awake as the stars were brightly shining. On the right side of the road were Louvre, Site Palais de Justice and Notre Dame. They had an ancient, illuminating golden hue, giving a royal vibe to the surroundings. They were the pride of France, standing all high and mighty in the middle of the night. However, the exceptional grandeur of the buildings failed to catch the attention of the owner of the car. The owner's mind was filled with the incidents of Anne's birthday. Anne offended Mu Feng's precious woman. So, Mu Feng took a revenge on her. On her birthday, and dared to harm his girlfriend. So he swapped the glasses and made Anne drink her own medicine. Then what followed, anyone could guess it. The owner of this limited edition car shivered on remembering the scene after Mu Feng left the place with his precious girlfriend. The whole mansion filled with Anne's moan and screams of ecstasy. Most of the girls didn't dare to stay. No one was there to save Anne tonight. Her parents were out of the country, the servants had left just before the party began, their capable grey-eyed guard was fired by Anne's stupid brother, and Anne's stupid brother was quite drunk and was fooling around with his best friend's girlfriend. In that case, how could he have saved his sister? Her name is Lan. I'll remember it. The owner of the car thought as he sped away. Mu Lan woke up as the sunlight hit her eyes. She slowly opened her eyes. Her eyes immediately fell on the man who was laying beneath her. Mu Liang was trying to change her sleeping habit, and now she was getting used to sleeping on his chest. Mu Lan saw that Mu Liang was looking at his cell phone. His expression was cold. His facial expression changed instantly when the sleeping beauty looked at him with her transparent eyes. Ah, what a way to start a day. He thought and prayed that his life would be like this every day. Mu Liang smiled at her and tenderly said with a deep voice, "Good morning." Mu Lan smiled at him and replied, "Good morning." Mu Liang stroked her hazel tree-colored hair gently and asked, "Did you sleep well?" Mu Lan recalled last night. Last night, she was feeling unwell and she knew that she could not sleep alone. However, she could not even remember when the last time she slept alone in the Mu mansion. Mu Liang had laid down beside her and coaxed her to fall asleep. He stroked her hair until her heart calmed down. Even then she woke up twice after having nightmares. But Mu Liang hugged her closer to his chest and made her fall asleep. Mu Lan looked at his eyes and said, "I slept well. How about you?" Looking at her guilty face, Mu Liang pretended like he was tired. He said, "I slept a little. Don't worry. A few minutes of sleep won't kill me." He specially emphasized the words "few minutes." Mu Lan's face became pale as she felt sad. She opened her mouth but couldn't utter a single word. Her pitiful face made Mu Liang's heart ache. He said, "You made me so tired. Now it's time for you to compensate." His deep voice and dark eyes made Mu Lan shiver. For some reason, her heart was racing. How? Mu Lan asked timidly. All of a sudden, her world turned upside down as Mu Liang got on the top of her. "Kissing you." His voice was husky. "Mm." Mu Lan's lips were covered with his warm lips. Soon, Mu Liang's tongue invaded her mouth and danced around hers. Ha. Mu Lan moaned and the kiss became deeper. Mu Liang's hands slipped inside her silk nightgown and touched her smooth skin. Mu Lan trembled on his touch. Her body writhed against him. She panted as she said, "Liang. Liang. Not there." A warm feeling spread throughout her body. Mu Liang left her lips. Their lips were parted and a thin thread of saliva was connected to each other's tongues. Mu Liang looked down at Mu Lan's red face, moist eyes, parted lips, disheveled hair, and loose dress, overall an alluring woman. He leaned down to kiss her ear and said, "Where should I not touch you?" Here?" He nibbled her ear. "Ah." Mu Lan wanted to move away, but she was held by Mu Liang. "Or here?" Mu Liang's voice was huskier than before as he rubbed his hands on her breasts. "Liang. Wait. I cannot, oh." Mu Lan couldn't control her voice. Mu Liang's lips went down to her nape. He licked there and asked, "Cannot what?" He could feel his lower side was reacting. Leaf on. Mu Lan arched her back as she was pinched on her left nipple. Her whole body shuddered. Mu Liang thought he had done enough to tease her. If he did something more, she might never come home. However, he was really pleased today. The way Mu Lan responded to him nearly made him to have her. Mu Liang looked at the girl who was sweating and panting. Her eyes were not focused. He lightly kissed her forehead, then temples, followed by her cheeks, then her nose, later her lips. The kiss became passionate within a second. When Mu Liang realized that Mu Lan was struggling for oxygen, then he left her swollen lips. He laid down on the bed and took her on his chest. Mu Lan simply laid there and panted softly. Mu Liang caressed her back and head, calming her down. Mu Lan wanted to talk but her throat was dry. Realizing her situation, he held her back with his left hand and got up slightly. Later, he reached out to the glass with his right hand and slowly made her drink some water. When Mu Lan finished drinking the whole glass of water, Mu Liang wiped her mouth. Mu Lan looked at the gentle Mu Liang and asked him, "What happened to An?" If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 212, Curse That Mu Feng. Chapter 212, Curse That Mu Feng. Mu Liang woke up earlier than Mu Lan. He looked at the sleeping beauty on his chest. His heart melted right away. Mu Lan was sleeping soundly. A sweet smile was hanging on her lips as though she was dreaming. The fatigue of the last night was long gone. Her pale skin turned pink after getting warmth from Mu Liang. Mu Liang leaned down to kiss her forehead. Then he checked his cell phone. His eyes immediately turned cold. Mu Feng sent him some links of today's top news. It was about An. Those who were invited to An's birthday party and had some fun with her uploaded a few videos, and those videos went viral. The videos tarnished An's reputation as well as her family. Now the banks withdrew their money and the shareholders were selling the shares of the business of the Don family. The Don family went bankrupt. The 50 years of reputation of the art business of Don family was completely destroyed by and in a single night. Mu Feng filled in the details of the morning news to Mu Liang. An's parents rushed at dawn after the videos were uploaded. They found out the horrible truth, which gave Mr. Don a heart attack and he was sent to the hospital. However, he died the moment he reached there. Mrs. Don, who lost her husband and the business, fled with her husband's best friend. An's brother fled to the US and was now hiding from the media. And was kicked out from her mansion by the bank. The house will be auctioned soon. She couldn't take a single coin with her and left with a simple dress and a pair of sandals. And went to an infamous nightclub manager who took her in. Mu Liang glanced at the clock. It was just 11:30. Everything happened in such a short time because of the strings pulled by Mu Feng all night. Mu Feng's plan for the last night was to insult her in front of everyone by exposing her real face. That's why he brought Mu Lan with him and let Mu Liang hide for a while. His initial plan was to make An a little drunk so that she could lose herself a little. Then Mu Liang would come and she would confess to him and would get a flat rejection. And when An would charge at Mu Lan, Mu Feng would protect his sister-in-law and his friends would make some videos and would make it viral. In the end, An would lose her face. Such a simple plan went upside down when An brought a drink for Mu Lan. Mu Feng swapped the glasses and made An drink her own medicine. This way, Mu Feng's plan worked perfectly without him doing anything. Mu Liang sighed as he looked at his woman. "I will not let anyone harm you," he promised. Later, he sent a text to Mu Feng. "Find out who gave that woman the aphrodisiac." That woman was obviously An. Mu Feng sent a text immediately. "Big brother, it was sent by An's new boyfriend. His identity is still unknown." An's friend found out that An's boyfriend wanted An to have it, which means that he was not aware of An's plan. Mu Liang frowned. Is it that simple? He wondered. Just then, Mu Lan moved and looked at him with her sleepy eyes. In an instant, Mu Liang's heart was filled with warmth. When Mu Lan asked him, "What happened to An?" Mu Liang was at loss of words. He hugged her tightly and said, "You don't have to know." Mu Lan trembled in his arms and asked, "Isn't it a bit too much?" She didn't deserve all those sufferings. Mu Liang helplessly looked at his pure-hearted wife. He asked, "If Feng or me weren't there with you and you were drugged by her, you would be in her place right now." Mu Lan shuddered vigorously and a chill ran down her spine. If it was me. She couldn't think anymore. Mu Liang hugged her tightly and said, "She brought this upon herself. Don't feel sorry for her. She deserved it." Mu Lan circled her arms around him, clenched his nightshirt and buried her face on his warm chest. Mu Liang stroked her hair for a few minutes. Then to remove this heavy atmosphere, he said, let's take a bath together, but... No! Mu Lan screamed. Yan Su woke up with a headache. She frowned and with her eyes narrowed she looked around. Where am I? She wondered as she saw an unfamiliar place. She looked at the white ceiling, white curtains. A smell of medicine hit her nose. Yan Su, who had never been to a hospital in her life, could not recognize the place. Good morning. A familiar voice spoke up.